Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick with me? Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies, the anniversary edition. That's right, show 600. At least that's what I've counted, and I don't know if it's correct or not, but that's what we're going by. Hey, I passed, so I guess that's something. And Greg Tillman joining us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Greg is the reason that I do this show. And I have done this show. Well, Greg and I, for those that may not know, Greg and I go back quite a ways. I was first intern for Shelby Headline News, and it wasn't long after I started working with Greg, TV 33, that he asked if I wanted to do movie reviews on camera. And I had done movie reviews previously, Greg. I'd done that at the school newspaper at Gardner Webb, the Pilot, and also Shelby Shopper. So I guess you thought maybe there was something there. And it was pretty, we've said this before.
I had time to fill.
But it was pretty bad, and we've talked about that before, but you gave me a chance. But I'd love for you to talk about kind of the genesis of your love of films and what got you involved in that love of films. And also, and Greg, and years later, Greg was the general manager at C19 for how many years, Greg?
22.
22 years. And so Greg invited me back a few years ago to start doing Meet Me at the Movies. And so I was really thrilled that we could work together again, and thankful to have you back on the show. So I want to get that out there first. But Greg, let's talk about your love of films, where that came from, and why it was you decided to do a movie talk show, either short form or long form.
Well, first of all, I hate movies. No, I'm kidding. I grew up in Bellwood, my hometown, love it, but there wasn't a lot to do when you were a little kid. No sidewalks, all your friends to play with are a mile away or whatever. And so I watched a lot of TV, and I just fell in love with movies back in the day. Silence all the way up to, pretty much every genre I find interesting in some way, I guess.
Now, to put it in perspective, you weren't born during the silent era. You just enjoyed watching silent films.
I look like I was born in the silent era, but no, I was not. I did not have the #1 movie of 1923 on here.
Well, we really did think it was just fitting to bring you back for show 600, because these shows wouldn't have happened had you not thought about it and gave it some life. And so just want to thank you for that. And thanks for including me in this journey, both at the Headline News Days and here at C19 as well.
The funny thing about this show, even though, how long we've been on the air, I don't know, 600 shows, I don't know what that adds up to be. But when I was at CCC, I actually worked there 3 times, once right out of college, and then again in the late 80s, and then when I came back in 2001. But the genesis of this show, I've been wanting to do since the first time I was there in 83, 84. The guy that, his name was Frank Wimmer, still in touch with him. He owned a video store in Shelby. He hosted, we did a little pilot, but the technology wasn't there then, as far as editing and even getting the clips from the studios. And so I just had to wait a long time to catch up with the technology, and at least something that was affordable to buy, for this. So
right.
It'd been kind of a long range plan to kind of get a show like this back on the air.
So when you did Headline News, did you know kind of across the board when you were starting, okay, we're going to do news, we're going to do some sports, we're going to do some entertainment? Did you already know you were going to do those kinds of things, or was it just organic?
For the most part, some of the weekend material, Movie Minute, No, the Cleveland Headline Magazine that you did.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, the first year or so, I gave the weekends to the schools, so each school could do like a 4 minute news segment or something like that of what was going on. But the consistency was not really there for me. If school was out, they weren't doing it. So I thought, well, let's just find something that we can control and make sure it's on every week. And your segment was one of them, some of the others. So, but for the most part, it was kind of organic. I had a year and a half or more, maybe 2, to even try to figure out the format and how to pull it off, as we negotiated with what was Vision Cable at the time, of course, Spectrum.
Right.
But it just took some time and to nick it all out. But when we hit the road, we kind of had the template down, I think, when we went on the air.
Well, yeah, we started doing the movie reviews early on.
Yeah.
Because I started working with you. I don't know if it was September or October before Headline was even on the air, but I remember in November, and it was like November 1st that we went on the air, and I remember November that year we were doing some movie reviews. So it was early on. And you're right. Getting access to that footage, even at that point, it was work. I remember, sitting in the office and calling the studios, trying to get the contacts of how do I get these clips. And, we were able to figure it out. And then we started getting these 3/4, clips every single week. We'd get them for the newest films that were out there, and they'd have interviews on them. It would have of course, the B-roll, and then the trailer, and then it'd have the trailers with narration, trailers without narration. It was kind of cool to have those and to be able to utilize those. And now it's all digital. So you got access now. You just studios send you a link and you download the files. But anyway, just a thank you, and thanks for giving us that kind of the background and the genesis of that. Any other thoughts you want to share about that before we dive into our topic for the day?
Not really. Where's Thomas today? I was looking forward to insulting him.
I think he's still combing his hair. Because, he's got a big head full of hair, man.
That
so
does take a while, I'm sure.
Either combing his hair or his mustache. I'm not sure which, but it's one of the two.
You can tell where one stops and the other starts.
But I'll tell you, ask about it, man.
Okay.
But so as we were thinking about this 600th anniversary, I thought, well, you and I have been around this since the beginning in certain ways. And so I thought, why not look at films that were released on our birthdays, not necessarily the day we were born, but the day we would celebrate it, or films that were popular during that time period. So my task to you was to choose any film, and your birthday's February
I'm not saying 22nd.
February 22nd. So I said, choose February 22nd, and it can be before your birth or after. So look at films that are popular. For me, March 15th is my birthday. So I'm looking at films that were released over the course of that years. The earliest for me goes back to 1967, and I'm gonna, we'll see what we get through today, but we've got a few that we can talk about. So anyway, I'll let you start first. So give us a film that you found that was released during your birthday time period, the day that you celebrated your birthday.
Yeah.
What you got?
The first one that I highlighted was Mary Poppins in 1964.
Mary Poppins.
Who doesn't love Mary Poppins?
So can you sing any of the songs from Mary Poppins?
I've never tried, and this is not a good venue to experience. I'll never live it down. I did see it on Broadway, though, a few years ago. That was fun.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Now, was this one of those that you watched with your kids growing up, or was one you remember watching when you were a kid?
I watched it as a kid, and my kids would watch it. Not annually. It wasn't like a tradition like you and Die Hard at Christmas or something, which is not a Christmas movie. But anyway, but Dick Van Dyke and Julie Andrews. It's kind of the tail end of that age of musicals.
Yeah.
What a way to kind of wrap things up, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about that and Sound of Music, both of those in that same time period and Julie Andrews in both of those as well. What did you think of the sequel, the legacy sequel to that that came out, Mary Poppins Returns?
Trying to remember who was in it. What was her name? See Your Face. It was fine. I liked it much better than I thought I would, to be honest with you. I mean, a sequel coming out 5 years after the original sometimes doesn't do so well, but 60 years after, you don't know what to expect. Of course, they recast, except, well, Dick Van Dyke was still in it.
But in a different way. Yeah.
In a different way. Yeah. I mean, it was thoroughly, it wasn't, it tried to recapture the magic. It did some, I think. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautifully shot. It did a marvelous job kind of recreating the space and the environment. Emily Blunt was Mary Poppins, and Lin-Manuel Miranda was also in that. Meryl Streep had a role as well. But I thought it was a beautiful film. And Ben Whishaw was really wonderful as Michael Banks. But I loved it. I really, I thought they did a nice job, and I thought the songs were fitting for it as well. So, yeah, Mary Poppins Returns, that was 2018. But Mary Poppins was the one that was released in the February time period. 64. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go forward just a few years. 1967. This was popular in March 15th. And Greg, I love Hammer films. Always loved the Hammer horror films, but this is one that actually was not on my radar. And I'm like, how did I miss this? It was called Frankenstein Created Woman. And yes, yeah, Frankenstein Created Woman. Peter Cushing was in this, and it was one of those that became kind of a cult favorite. But I'm like, I thought that I'd seen almost every Hammer film, but never saw that one. But it's one that I feel like now I need to go back and revisit. Shout Studios did a kind of a repackaging and got this back out there. But that was popular March 15th, 1967. And for me, the Hammer films, I mean, the first ones I remember seeing had Christopher Lee as Dracula, and just kind of drawn to those. And those were always films that Earl Owensby loved as well, those Hammer horror films. So I had to mention that.
Yeah, isn't that what Wolfman was kind of a tip of the hat to?
It was. It sure was. Yeah, even from taking a look at kind of that time period as well. And so it's always fun to get Earl to talk about Wolfman, because he was like, the worst, the most horrible film I ever made was a horror film. And he talked about. I
was in the theater with him. I think maybe the first night it opened.
Really?
I saw him get up and leave.
Well,
at least he walked out. I never saw him come back.
Well, one of his was that at the EO Theater? That was the Rogers Theater.
It was before there was. Well, it was Rogers. The Rogers. Okay. Yeah, / EO.
Okay. Yeah, Earl talks about one of the, he would always, whenever he would have opening nights, he would go and watch kind of crowd reactions and stuff. And he said he was in Wolfman, and when there's a thing where he like rips off his shirt, and Earl's got a pretty hairy back anyway, and it wasn't makeup, and he said to somebody, "No, he's turning into the Wolfman. He's turning into the Wolfman." And Earl said he had to walk out laughing because he was like they thought it was makeup or something, but it was my real back.
It's funny you said that. Have you seen Challenge? Earl's first movie.
Yes,
he's in bed at the beginning of it, and he gets out, and the sheet comes, and I saw that in the theater too.
Yeah,
I got a gasp too. I think they thought it was maybe Wolfman then too.
I love it. Well, we're already halfway through the show. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about some more films as we celebrate episode 600 of Meet Me at the Movies. We'll talk about films that were released during our birthdays and or popular during our birthdays. So stick around. We'll be right back after this intermission.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Join us this October for Cleveland Community College Foundation's 5th Annual Yetis Athletics Golf Tournament. Your support funds student athletes, helping them succeed every step of the way. Play with purpose. Tee off for student success. Visit cccyetis.com to register today.
As Cleveland County's premier event facility, LeGrand Center is the ideal location for any event. The LeGrand Center is located 45 minutes west of Charlotte, 45 minutes north of Spartanburg, and just a little over an hour east of Asheville. Whether you're a small business looking for a place for an off-site meeting or a bride looking for that special location for her wedding, LeGrand Center is the perfect place for you.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch watch a flick.
Hello, welcome back to Meet Me in the Movies, joined by Greg Tillman, the pioneer who brought Meet Me at the Movies alive. He brought it. He gave it birth. He was the genesis. He was the reason why we are here 600 episodes later. Greg, welcome, man. Good to see
Frankenstein
you.
monster, like a Frankenstein.
That's right. Yeah, it's like the woman Frankenstein created from 1967. That
I
Hammer
do,
film
I
that
do
I've
want
never
to see
seen.
that. I do want to see that. I really do, because I think I probably know a couple of the women he created.
You probably do. You probably do.
Very deeper than that.
Well, we are celebrating show 600 by looking at films that were released during our lifetime or before, on our birthdays, or popular during our birthdays. So give me another on your list.
I'm going to mention this briefly because it was a TV movie, and that's what came up on my number one movie of the year. So I went with Rodgers Hammerstein's Cinderella with Leslie Ann Warren.
Oh,
Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. I've got the DVD, and before that I had the tape. But it's it's the only TV musical that Rodgers Hammerstein wrote.
Wow. What was the release date?
It was in 1965.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I've
It's-
never seen that.
It's utterly charming. I mean, Leslie Ann Warren is absolutely adorable. The music, the songs are fantastic. I can't believe you haven't seen it. If you can't
Yeah.
find it, I'll bring you the DVD or something.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out. 1965 Cinderella, the TV version. Well, I'm going to March 15, 1972, and this film became very popular. Won 3 Oscars: Best Actor, Picture, and Adapted Screenplay. We're talking about The Godfather from 1972. Huge hit in the 1970s. And of course, spawned a sequel and then another film, and even had a TV series, basically the making of The Godfather. But The Godfather, just a classic, man, and it was one of those that stands the test of time. 11 nominations from the Academy Awards for this film, and I think all of those well deserved.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the consensus is that Godfather 2 is maybe the better film, but I prefer 1 myself. And I saw it in the theater with my parents. I don't know why. Maybe not the best. I go home, I'm looking for a horse head in my bed. Maybe not the best thing to take a 10-year-old to.
I think you're still looking for horse heads in your bed. So
Well, now that I've retired, not so much.
All right, man. Give us another February release.
68, Planet of the Apes.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
excellent choice.
Yeah,
Excellent choice.
have to go with that.
And you talk about a franchise that has just survived well beyond, kind of expectations. It's done that and found a way to do it in a reboot as well. Pretty phenomenal for that film.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I saw the latest, the first 2 of the reboot, but I did not see the last one, which I heard was actually one of the better ones. I need to see
Yeah,
that.
it's quite good. Yeah. That's probably one of the first. I remember seeing that movie in theaters, man, and I was young, unless it was one of those revival screenings. A lot of times
You
they
would have
bring
been
movies
1
back.
if you saw it originally. So
I'm sorry.
you would have been 1, right, when you saw it originally, right?
Maybe it was.
67?
Maybe they brought revival screenings back, but it was a franchise I was really in love with, and they did a TV series of that as well.
Yeah, that
and-
wasn't bad, actually.
Yeah, I remember watching the TV series. My mom and dad were bowlers, and they had like a kids' room, and it was Friday nights, and they would have the Planet of the Apes on the the TV for the kids to watch. And I remember watching that, and I was a big fan of that, and read the books, and it was an animated series. So yeah, Planet of the Apes, good choice, good choice. You were talking about horse heads earlier. Well, let's talk about Blazing Saddles from 1974. This was a movie that was actually popular, and it was released in February of 74, but had a long run at the box office, did incredibly well, still top box office in March. So I wanted to mention that one. Mel Brooks, just amazing. 3 Oscar nominations for this film: Best
I didn't
Supporting
know it got
Actress.
nominations.
Yeah, Best Supporting Actress, Best Editing, and Best Original Song. Massive comedy hit. And,
Yeah.
as we look at the Naked Gun kind of legacy reboot that's in theaters now, I can't help but think about the parodies that came out in the 70s that really, kind of paved the way. And they were before, of course, but the 70s really found a way to establish parody as something that was appreciated more than just throwaway comedy.
Right. Well, that was on my list for 74 as well. So I think it came out a week before my birthday. 1978, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know it's a classic. I saw it in the theater, but it always kind of leaves me a little cool. I don't know why. I'm not in love with it, and I feel like I should be.
Yeah. For me, I appreciated it was more of a drama, a human drama than anything else. It was, sure, it had the sci-fi elements, but it wasn't your typical alien invasion films that we had pretty much seen. We see alien films or sci-fi films where aliens they're coming to kill you, coming to take over your bodies. This was definitely a whole different approach. I think that's what I really liked about it, is the approach of it was different, and how all of these people were having similar experiences, and they were manifesting in different ways, and then they ultimately would come together. And I have cousins who just moved back to New Zealand, but they took a road trip from East Coast to West Coast, and along the way they went to Devil's Tower.
Oh yeah.
And so of course I said, hey, did you get some mashed potatoes while you were there? So, but I appreciated the film, and I think it really was a film that set up Steven Spielberg for what was to come, and he did several alien films along the way, and this was one of those that I think it deserves being a classic, especially when you think about that score, such a memorable score as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth being seen. There's something I never latched onto it like maybe I should, if that makes any sense.
It does, and you're wrong, but that's okay. It's
Not like you are about Die Hard, but anyway.
Well, I've got to drop in a 1990 film. Pretty Woman was popular in March of 1990, #1 at the box office for numerous weeks. Julia Roberts, Richard Gere, but Julia Roberts just amazing to me on film. And you talked about Cinderella. This was kind of a reverse fairy tale. Did get a nomination as well. Oscar nomination, but for me, the reason I wanted to bring up Pretty Woman, not just because I love the soundtrack and I love Julia Roberts, but I also this was one of the first films that I wrote a movie review of for the Pilot newspaper at Gardner Webb University, and you can actually find that if you go to the Digital Commons and look up, because they've got all the pilots scanned, and you can find my review of Pretty Woman. And I think I led into, Julia Roberts is more than just a pretty woman in this film, and I think that was kind of my lead line to launch into it. But just had to mention Pretty Woman, and it's one that I can go back to now and enjoy as much as I did then.
Right. I'm going to skip over E.T., Witness, and Broadcast News because I know we're short on time, but I have to get to 93 for Groundhog Day. One of my all-time favorites. Wasn't that considered by some critics association as being one of the greatest movies of the last half of the 20th century?
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely one of the greatest comedies of that time period, for sure.
Brilliant. I mean, not only is it hilarious, it's about something, and that's rare in a comedy,
One of the things, and that's a movie I can go back to time and time again as well, and I appreciate how it you're not really sure what the story it's trying to tell you is until it happens.
Yeah.
And you see this guy that's reliving this horrible day, or for him a horrible day, over and over and over again, and over the course of that time he learns not just about things he can do, things he can perfect in life, but he also learns life lessons that he never expected to learn. That's ultimately, what we try to get out of so many of these films, that you've got somebody that's struggling with who they are, and when they find that thing, it's really incredible, and I love that about Groundhog Day.
Plus, I think it's some of Bill Murray's best acting. I mean, he brought the Murray anyway. What you expect. But he dug much deeper in that than he had in a lot of his films prior to that.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying, just a lovely movie and all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Another movie that I remember, as a teenager watching and just being profoundly amazed by was The China Syndrome from 1979. And that was, a film that got 4 Oscar nominations, Jack Lemmon for Best Actor, Jane Fonda, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Art Direction. That was just a movie that almost could have been ripped out of the headlines, especially from a standpoint of what people were thinking and worried about with nuclear reactors and broadcast coverage, kind of combining those two.
Yeah. Well, this was also around the time of 3 Mile Island.
Yes.
Talk about prescient. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember that well. And it was a scary time, particularly with 3 Mile Island, because, it's the first time that had happened, at least here in the States. And so, but yeah.
So China Syndrome, wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to make sure you mention before we wrap up?
I'm gonna skip quality stuff like Schindler's and Shutter Island and go to Deadpool. What the heck?
So are you a fan?
Yes, I am. I'm not going to apologize about it. The second one was okay. The third with Wolverine, I thought was maybe the funniest.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great.
Some people are tired of Ryan Reynolds. I think the character is hilarious. I'm not sick of that one at all.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I especially when Wolverine came back, it was like, again, this did something that they had been hoping to do for a long time, and it paid off. And it actually just received a Critics' Choice Award from the Super Awards for Best Superhero Film. I want to mention one more on my list, and I was a big fan of Michael Keaton for years. Loved him, going back to Night Shift with Henry Winkler, the Ron Howard film, and then in '86 he was in a movie called Gung Ho, where car factory workers were having to work with kind of a buyout and having to figure out how to meet the demands that were out there with the new ownership, and Keaton was amazing in that, and I think that's one of those lost films that I wish more people would see. But that was March of 1986.
Has it aged well?
I haven't watched it, in a number of years. I'd love to go back and watch it because I think it would age well, because it probably is a snapshot of that time period, and films that are culturally relevant and relevant to historically what's happening. I think it's worth watching for that, if for nothing else. Well, Greg Tillman, we are out of town right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks for giving us insight on the genesis of this show, and for giving it life. And just thankful that you could be on here for show 600 as we celebrate your birthday and my birthday by celebrating the birthday of Meet Me at the Movies. Any final words or comments you want to make sure you share?
Bye. I don't know.
All right. Till next time, we appreciate everybody spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Thanks for sending us that non-viewer mail, info at c19.tv, c19.tv. And until next time, for Greg Tillman, for the entire cast and crew, I'm Noel T. Manning II. And for this week, that is a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.